How do you go from being the hottest shooter in the entire NBA, culminating with a $90 million contract, all the way down to bench warmer in just 2 seasons? There are some clear reasons for the downfall of Duncan Robinson, but even more intriguing, there is a clear way out of this darkness for him back up to glory. In his only 3rd career start in 2019, Duncan Robinson shocked everyone when, as an anonymous player, he went 7 for 11 from downtown.
2013 season. Duncan Robinson! Oh man.
The entire NBA would soon learn his name, however, as he also had blistering hot performances of 8, 9, and 10 threes on incredibly high percentages. His movement without the ball, running through screens, and shooting off of dribble handoffs from Bam Adebayo became a staple of the Heat offense. Robinson was such a sniper that season that he was tied for 3rd, and this is virtually 2nd most in 3-pointers made. But what's really impressive is the percentage he had at that volume. You see that out of the top 10 shooters, nobody comes close to his efficiency. This is the ultimate combination that every player dreams of. Make a ton of threes at a high percentage. 44.6 is not just high, it's astonishing. In the playoffs, however, it was a bit of a different story. Every round, Duncan would have a few blazing hot performances, but a few stinkers as well. So in the first round against the Pacers, he had a 7 of 8 and 2 of 4 games, but was also ice cold in a couple of them, shooting 2 of 8 and 1 of 7. That was the trend against the Bucks as well, in that shocking upset where the 5th-seeded Miami demolished Milwaukee, who were the favorites to come out of the East. And against the Celtics, despite some bad games, he still exploded in a couple of them and helped Miami reach the finals against all odds and expectations. This is where Duncan got completely exposed and some of the issues slowly became apparent. And no, it's not the efficiency. He shot 39.7% in the postseason, and while that is far from the elite accuracy he had during the season, almost 40% in the playoffs is still deadly. The Lakers exposed them on the defensive end, and unlike the previous round where you could also see teams occasionally hunting him, this time everyone had their focus on these 2 teams and every deficiency was obvious. Time after time, whoever was matched up with Duncan just attacked the rim, usually either scored or got fouled. It was evident how helpless he looked defensively. This was especially the case with LeBron, who would constantly look for the switch and pick and rolls to try and get Robinson on him. And from that point on, it was game over. The Lakers exploited this matchup all the way to a championship. So, coming into the next season, the entire league knew 2 things about Robinson: that he could shoot lights out and that he couldn't defend. This was clearly written on the scouting report, which made things more difficult for him. Having in mind all of that, he still had a great regular season, number 4 in 3-point makes at almost 41% from downtown. Sure, this is a big drop from the astonishing accuracy the previous year, though still in the absolute elite of NBA shooters. That following postseason, however, is where the problems got magnified. The Bucks had Miami completely figured out in the first round and feasted on the Duncan Robinson matchup. This was especially the case for Chris Middleton, who looked like a big brother playing against his little brother. It was brutal for the Miami sharpshooter, who looked like he was hanging on for dear life on defense. So, despite a phenomenal 7 for 13 shooting from downtown in Game 1, Robinson became unplayable. From 36 minutes in Game 1, his playing time declined in a shocking manner to 23 and all the way to 15 in the final game of this 4-0 sweep in the first round. This is a dramatic moment in Robinson's career, as the realization that his defense is truly a big issue and makes him useless when it matters the most mentally hit him hard, it seems. Nobody could have known that, however, since in the offseason Miami gave him a $90 million contract, banking on the fact that they will try to improve the defense around Duncan with the addition of PJ Tucker and Kyle Lowry, 2 terrific defenders. But even though he only needed to focus on offense, astonishingly Duncan shot just 37% from outside. This is the efficiency of a slightly above average shooter and not a $90 million sniper. To make matters even worse for Robinson, his teammate Max Strus exploded out of nowhere, going from 33% to 41% from behind the arc. Ironically, it was almost the same way as Duncan himself emerged a couple of years earlier. This, along with the fact that Strus could hold his own on defense, made him a much more suitable option for the team as the season progressed. Robinson's minutes declined, and the situation escalated in the playoffs. Once again, it was the same old story in Game 1 against the Hawks. Despite the blistering hot 8 of 9 shooting from downtown, Robinson got annihilated in the pick and roll defensively, and Spoelstra had to make adjustments. The changes were drastic and brought Miami all the way to Game 7 of the Eastern Finals, but for Duncan, it was demoralizing. Check this out. Robinson got less than 15 minutes of playing time in 15 out of the 18 Miami playoff games. And in a large majority of those, it was either a complete DNP or just 1, 2, or 5 minutes of garbage time. This was a mind-blowing turn of events. This key piece of the team could not be utilized at all. And although he tried to stay positive, it was obvious that this was hitting rock bottom for him. Finally, that downward spiral carried on to this season as well, as he's getting just 17 minutes per game and shooting at a horrific 32.5% from downtown. In just 2 full seasons, this guy went from the best shooter in the entire league all the way to riding the bench and getting DNPs. The situation is desperate, but I believe that there is a comeback trail for Duncan. It's just that the only solution is for him to be traded to another team. It's clear that mentally he needs a change of scenery and starting out fresh, and it makes sense in terms of the dynamic on the court as well. I made a video last year exposing how teams have been completely sagging off of Jimmy Butler and letting him shoot. He does not attract double teams whatsoever anymore, and neither does Bam Adebayo, as good as he is. Robinson always needed to work hard and run all over the floor to get his shots, and while his movement without the ball is top-notch, it would be great for him to land on a team with players who demand double teams, like Embiid and Harden on the Sixers, PG and Kawhi with the Clippers, or LeBron and AD on the Lakers. And while it's virtually impossible to make the trade work with some of these teams, the idea of choosing between a wide-open Duncan Robinson on the kickout or a single coverage on a superstar player to me is frightening, and I would love to take that chance on a trade if I'm a contending team. But what about the defense? That is still a black hole in his game, and it will always be there for teams to exploit. To that, I have a take that's possibly controversial, but stay with me for a second. In my eyes, the defensive struggles were so tragic because of Miami's offense that was never really great. Having him next to an offensive juggernaut and a decent enough defense would completely unlock Robinson and get him back to his old self. That version on the Clippers or the Sixers, who already have top 10 defenses, would be extremely interesting to see. And while these are the darkest moments of Duncan Robinson's career, I believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and with the right move, it could shine very bright. If you like this video, subscribe for more and talk to you in the next one. Peace out.